Right, Jody?
It's very
Great
exciting.
following of the meeting there. All right, if you want to go ahead, Amy, and take the roll, please.
Okay, I'm gonna go through, first we have commission members, Brendan Kelly,
Present?
Dr. Arun Kumar,
Present.
Jillian Baker,
Present.
Jeffrey Beeford,
Present.
Claire Dragovich,
Present.
John Hamlin, I believe is present via WebEx. John, could you confirm if you're able to talk?
Correct, present.
Great, thank you. Judge Hill,
Present.
Jody Luce. Present. Chris Hughes. I believe she is not going to be present. Phil Kinsey,
Present.
Jeannie Reichel,
Present.
Karen Tucker,
Present.
and Carrie Ward, not present. She may join us late. I do believe she was going. And then I'm Amy Latroba, Executive Director. Also present in the room, we have two individuals. Could you introduce yourselves, please?
Timothy Rubel, King County Forensic Laboratory.
Sarah, the same.
Okay, thank you. And then online joining us, I see Joanne Liu, Linda Mandit, Timothy Tripp. Is there anyone else present online that could identify themselves? I have a 708 number. Oh, okay.
It's Jan Johnson.
Jan Johnson. Thank you, Jan.
Sure.
Okay, so we have quorum.
All right, very good. I know this, Robin, I talked to her this morning. She just returned to America from Portugal. So she was having an amazing adventure over there. So I know she's usually sort of filling in for me, but I feel like now I'm filling in for her. So, but I'm glad I could make it here today. The schedule, finally aligned so that I can be able to do that. Amy, I don't know, did you mention, I mean, I just found out this morning, just for the website, maybe we have, I think that's what, we have. Looking at my nose right now. Yeah, so you couldn't get that. This is from the public information officer. I don't know if you're ready to tell everybody who's here that that's what they're.
Yes, I did let them know, the commission members know beforehand, but just so those present know,
Yeah.
we have representatives from the Public Information Office shooting B-roll for our informational videos that the Training and Career Development Subcommittee is working on. And then after the meeting, if you're kind enough to stop in the hallway, we have an individual from Human Resources to take a headshot to go along with your biographies, which we will be populating on our new and improved expanded website. So appreciate your cooperation.
Got it. Back on the agenda, review of minutes from the March 18th meeting. Is there any amendments, changes, any objections with regards to the minutes? So fairly detailed. Any thoughts or concerns? If there is not, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Very good. Is there a second? Second. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, housekeeping items, covered the video issue, but, Executive Director Petrova, any housekeeping items for us?
No, right now housekeeping, I just have my points for the
Okay, all right, anybody else have anything in terms of housekeeping? Everybody doing fine in terms of submitting their claims and travel and all that jazz and reimbursements, is that all going smoothly? Okay. Just thought I'd ask. Executive Director, what do you got for us?
Well, I have, let me forward my slides. Hopefully everybody can see them. So just to follow up, we have our logo. The sergeant who submitted the designs that you guys reviewed at the last meeting made the changes you requested and came up with these. So the one in the center, that's the main logo. And then to the left is kind of the flat version for printing purposes. And on the right is the black and white version. So I hope you're all happy with the logo and working on the letterhead as well, so that now when I send out communications related to the work that you're doing, I'll be able to do it on letterhead. So there's that. The next topic is going to be education and outreach. I was able to attend the Illinois Homicide Investigators Association conference on DNA and FIG last week, as were a few members. I think Jeannie Reichel of the commission was also there. And I just presented a very general presentation about the commission and explaining what the commission does, and also pointing out the recommendation that you've made regarding victims, the use of victim DNA, and then also the creation of the FIG subcommittee. So an example too is, I kind of just gave them the history. This was one of the slides in the presentation, kind of outlining, what we are, where we came from, and then, where we might be going in the future as a commission. I also joined the National Association of Forensic Science Boards, which is that new grassroots organization that their sole purpose is to help support state level commissions like us and provide, ideas for best practices, idea sharing, lessons learned from the commissions that are more maybe experienced, have been around longer than the newer commissions. So I've joined that. Deputy Director Woolery, I believe, has also joined. There may be some other people on the commission. You're all welcome to join if you want to. I think it's $100. So they're gonna have their annual conference in the fall. I'll be submitting to go to that. So I think they're gonna be a really great resource to us going forward, especially in some of our longer term projects. I'm hoping that, they'll save us some time, by telling us, oh, you've been around for this long, you need to do this next. So I'll be working with them a lot. Next would be legal and legislative update. The cases which I provided you with your quarterly summary.
Just a second, if anybody is interested in joining that association, let us know and we'll look into whether or not it's a possibility for us to pay the membership. May or may not, I don't want to promise that for sure, but it may be something that we can facilitate, and possibly support if it's within our budget.
Yeah, membership does get you access to, they have kind of a members only section of their website with certain resources. They do have a lot of resources that are just open to anyone. But if for some reason we can't fund it, you can always get access to that via me. So if there's something you're interested in from that website, and I'll certainly keep you posted on anything that I see on there that could be of use to you. So I did your legal and legislative update. I had hoped that the US Supreme Court would decide Smith versus Arizona before this meeting. They did not. The next opinion day is Thursday. So I will be stalking the Supreme Court as I usually do in June. I do expect a decision by the end of next week. And that's on the issue of substitute examiner testimony within the context of drug chemistry. The Illinois Supreme Court has also still not decided the People versus Molina case, which we were tracking from the last meeting. And that has to do with probable cause, cannabis, raw versus burnt and related items. As for legislative update, I have some good news. As you guys may recall, prior to me joining the team, you did a recommendation regarding the use of victim DNA in response to a high profile incident in California. In that letter that you sent out to the legislature, you explained that we don't do that in Illinois. You summarized the applicable law, including the exception for homicide victims with medical examiners, and took the position that victim DNA should not be used in unrelated investigations. So legislation did make its way through this session, Illinois House Bill 1168. Where it put in the changes was in the Rights of Crimes Victims and Witnesses Act, and it proposed a new section that basically precludes anyone from using victim DNA in the way that it was improperly used in California. So that passed both houses. I checked last week, it had not yet been, I think it went to the governor's office on the 13th. So we'll see if it gets signed, and if it does, then that will go into effect. So that's good news. The bills related to cannabis that we discussed and we'll talk about later on in the meeting, those did not. They kind of died in rules in this session, but I'll explain in more detail later about that. There's also another bill I've included in your packet, which has made it through both houses that suggests just minor changes to the enabling statute for the commission. And then another one that I didn't put in your packet that I just wanted to float out there is you may have read in the news, there's been discussion about creating a statewide public defender organization of some sort. It sounds like that may be something that comes up again in the fall. If it does, that's something I think I will track so that, because if that does happen, I figured that would be an organization we would want to interact with, especially for your educational outreach initiatives. So just to let you know that I'll be keeping an eye on that.
If they do pass, if they do create an appellate defender, we might want to consider whether or not somebody from that office is just automatically made part of the forensic science commission. That may be, just require an update to the Forensic Science Commission's statute that I know we're struggling to find someone to be able to fill that defense attorney block anyway. So if there's an existing state office that has appropriate defense attorneys, then that could be a solution to that problem if that passes. But I know there's still a lot of discussion about what that's gonna look like. And I don't think I'm not gonna veto, honestly. I think they'll probably wind up in spring.
Spring.
That's not
Okay.
good, but I could be.
Well, gives us a little more time then.
Yes.
Just for the record, Carrie Ward has joined the meeting, so she's present.
Everyone, morning.
That's all I had for executive.
Okay.
summary.
Very good. All right, let's move on to the subcommittee reports then. Quality system, Claire?
Hi, good morning. I just wanted to start on share some information. One of our invited guests that we had on the quality subcommittee passed away a couple of weeks ago. Mark Milford is the assistant lab director from NERCL, and he was very helpful in attending our meetings and sharing his quality perspective. And so we're very sorry that obviously that he's passed. Just wanted to share that with you. The team had met, Jeff Buford, Phil Kinsey, and invited guest Joanne Liu of ISP. And obviously later on we have the vote for the report, but in our continued discussions, we came up with an idea that we were thinking it could be useful for the quality subcommittee to prepare informational documents that could go on the website related to quality. And one of the first, probably lowest hanging fruit kind of ideas that we were discussing was addressing why accreditation or benefits of accreditation, to put in layman's terms, to be able to explain to legal professionals, to the public, and what accreditation is and why it's important to FSSPs. And so our next meeting will dive more into that discussion and other potential topics, if that's something that the commission would be open to be placed on the website.
Okay. Do you have a motion for that, or do you just?
I don't think so. I think the subcommittee is free to explore work, and then probably any documents, obviously, analyze documents,
Yeah.
and you bring before the full commission.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Great.
So next is, I think, training.
All right, training and career development.
Okay, so Training Career Development Committee has met a few times, and we've forwarded the documents to Executive Director Wetruba. We're going to discuss those a little bit later in our discussion topics for our training documents. The next project that the committee is going to be working on is the training videos that we discussed last time. So we're working on content and creating of those videos. The 3 videos are going to cover the introduction. First video is the introduction to the Illinois Forensic Science Commission. The second topic is the general overview of the laboratories and the services that are provided. And then the third topic will be a deeper dive into the specific sections. So right now we've been working on the content for the first video and the second video. And then the footage that's being filmed today will be also incorporated.
And then I'll add that I've been continuing my efforts to meet with and discuss, including today with the director, the kind of longer term project of some type of forensics in the law certification or educational program that would push out, forensic science material that would be applicable and available to law enforcement, judges, prosecutors, defense attorneys, basically anyone. So we're furthering that. We're exploring the different options and what would have to go into place and be put into place to move forward with that.
I talked with Professor Leipold from U of I Law School this morning, and I think preliminarily, the concept may be a partnership between this institution we're sitting in right here and U of I Law School and Forensic Science Commission. And so Amy and I and Piper, who's a major case counsel, trying to be Professor Leipold. He's out of state for a little bit, but then scheduled full meeting. I doubt we'll meet before the DNC because that's absorbing all of our law enforcement focus at the moment, but I think before the beginning of the fall semester, we should be able to meet with Professor Leipold and try to map that out and have something to bring maybe to the next quarterly meeting.
Another, I don't think I mentioned this to you before, Deputy Director Woolery had mentioned in previous conversations I had with her, I think she mentioned at the last commission meeting that ISP will be doing a forensic science symposium, I think, in the fall in Springfield. And so I'm talking to her about whether we might be able to come up with a, maybe for part of the end of the surveys that participants fill out, hopefully at the end of such a course, we might be able to slip some questions in there that kind of might guide, give us a clue as to who might be interested, if there's particular aspects that they're more interested in than others, and kind of gauge interest. So that's one area that we might be able to mine some information to kind of shape the program to the audience that would actually be interested.
Yeah.
So that was her idea, which I thought was a good one.
Okay, public policy.
So for public policy, Mr. Hanlon is our chairperson, but he's driving. So he didn't want to be unsafe. He's listening while he drives. So he asked if Claire Dragovich could provide that summary, please.
Okay, so the Public Policy Subcommittee is still meeting and continuing to discuss the 2-hour collection limit for cannabis impairment. A number of our members attended an IDOT impaired driving task force meeting where 3 subject matter experts in toxicology presented. 2 were from Illinois, 1 was a regional representative. And they presented on the toxicology of Delta-9 THC and the Illinois law. We've invited Ms. Jen Safadi, the traffic safety resource prosecutor for Illinois, to our next meeting in July, and have asked her to dig deeper into the history of the 2-hour collection limit in the statute so we can better understand the totality, not just from the toxicology standpoint, but also from the legal standpoint, in attempting to address the question that was posed to us at the very beginning of this organization. Should that 2-hour stand? Do we recommend it stays the same or it moves?
And then during the discussion portion of the meeting, I'll be bringing up kind of an update on the Delta-9, the definition of Delta-9 issue with the public policy that you already actually issued a recommendation.
All right.
Mr. Buford.
Okay, thank you. The Technology Subcommittee has completed their phase 2 of our studies of emerging technologies for the major core forensic disciplines that we agreed upon, which included drug chemistry, forensic bio-DNA, firearms tool marks, latent prints, microscopy trace chemistry, and toxicology. Our latest presentation was given by our subject matter experts from the forensic biology DNA, which included our commissioner, Jeannie Ryhill, and forensic scientist Megan Neff of ISP. They presented emerging technologies for forensic biology DNA that may not be currently employed within the forensics operations of the labs that we're working with. With them, all of the major disciplines, these core disciplines, having given their presentation, a final summary report will be made available at our next commission meeting to close out phase 2 for the emerging technologies. This doesn't necessarily end a continual pursuit of emerging technologies. As you all know, this is always ongoing. But as far as closing out each of the core disciplines, we're given opportunity to give presentations. So our last presentation was given by our subject matter experts from forensic biology DNA. Once the summary report is completed, it will be submitted for the commission for review.
Great, thank you.
One thing I might ask the technology committee to entertain is and she had some emerging and maybe already impacting some of the systems within ISP or within other forensic technologies, but the question of the ethical and appropriate use of artificial intelligence is something that is coming up in, all law enforcement and criminal justice environments. Now, I'm not just talking, facial recognition, but there's a lot of machine learning. There's a lot of complex algorithms, other things that are being used, and I don't think in any way, is any of that being done, in an unethical way, but I think it's important to understand what, if any, artificial intelligence is used within forensic technology within the state of Illinois to make sure that, it's falls within the best practices in terms of the ethical uses of it, in terms of transparency, in terms of there's always a human, human agency within that and ability to, put a human perspective on it, before reaching a conclusion that has some, potential legal or evidentiary impact. So I think I guess the first question I'd really ask is let's identify what artificial intelligence at all, even in the most rudimentary form, are we using within our forensic technology? I think it's a question for ISP to ask ourselves, but then also anybody else that's using forensic technology within the state. And then what's coming down the pike, and then making sure that, because there are, best practices and standards that have been promulgated by the industry, and I think we just want to make sure that we're doing that, and that particularly when it comes to AI use in law enforcement, that we're also doing that in a way that is consistent with the best practices for AI in law enforcement. So I just asked the technology to really, if, we can at least do a survey or an assessment, like what are we using already? And then figure out if we're using that appropriately, and then what may be coming down the queue, that has even a higher level. It's amazing stuff. It has tremendous, potential. I think even in, the FIG stuff, there's potential there, to, analyze, make conclusions, make recommendations, et cetera, that is done by, artificial intelligence rather than a person. So it has, again, we may be using it in some fashion already. And it's going to just become more and more part of everything that we're doing. We just want to make sure we're doing it correctly. I think at the very least, where are we right now? That would be maybe my first question.
Okay, duly noted.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything on technology? Thank you so much.
Sure.
All right, forensic genetic genealogy.
Dr. Chris Hughes is the chairperson of this subcommittee, and she is out of the country. So she has asked, or we have all asked, that Jeannie Ryhill present on a summary of this new committee.
Yes, so let's, forensic genetic genealogy, but just so you know what, we're calling it FIG, but it's forensic investigative genetic genealogy. Well, just so because you might see it differently, like in different publications, I'll refer to it maybe genetic genealogy, just so you kind of have a, it's like the same thing, that just people are seeming to gravitate to, call it FIG, right? Because people like abbreviations. There you go. So we're gonna call it FIG. So, anyway, so we had our first meeting, and then we basically roundtabled as to what, kind of like, again, where this is at in the community, trying to, and then kind of figure out what our direction is going to be. So we're going to, there's different agencies doing different things, so we're gonna seek out some presentations from different people, different law enforcement agencies, or even forensic laboratory agency, what they're doing, and we're gonna get some education from them. And then, of course, then we want, so that we're gonna then, from there, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna study how it's being used there. Then we're going to also we want to provide some educational materials for our agencies, or even just, the public. And then from that, we're going to then also provide recommendations of potential, uses of FIG within the state of Illinois. So, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I guess we'll be having a meeting coming up in July. Again, it's our first kind of like just roundtabling and having some discussion.
One thing we're working both on gathering information and as to how it might be implemented, different models, and while at the same time working on those materials too. So to kind of, at least it may not be final materials, but I think we talked about the possibility of pushing out some very basic like a one-page law enforcement, state's attorney's office friendly sheet on like, here's what the steps of FIG might be if you have a case.
Right, yes,
That's, yeah.
because there's a lot going on with FIG, right? So there's, you got the genetic piece and then you've got the genealogy piece. And so trying to give the education to what it is and what it isn't, that kind of thing. And figure out kind of what, the different models are and how people are implementing it around the United States.
And do we have any questions on FIG? Oh, I think we did also discuss that there might be a way to carve something else out specific to unidentified human remains, and I forgot about that.
Oh, okay.
And we're fortunate enough that we have Dr. Ruth
Right,
Kumar here.
which is very exciting too, right? So there's a piece that, we got the unknown evidence pieces and trying to link it to someone. See,
They do, there is some overlap in the approach, but it may be that different strategies are working differently or better for unidentified human remains. So we don't want to forget about that.
No, sorry.
No, no. But as I was looking at Dr. Kumar.
Yeah, it kind of comes underneath how the different agencies or different, like UNT out there doing camping. There's a lot of people in this space.
Excellent. All right. Anything else on that front? All right, moving on to issues for discussion. So, Claire, or any other, who we want to talk about the significant nonconformities report?
Everyone received a copy of the report. Does anyone have any questions? Then I would move we vote to accept the report.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All in
All of
favor?
us.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed? All right, thank you very much. The report is accepted.
And that will be added, we'll release that on the commission's webpage, under the report section, that will post it up there.
Very good. All right, training documents. So, there it is on big screen. Want to walk us through it?
Sure, so the commission has already approved the 3 underlying documents, and again, this was all sent to all of you, the 3 underlying substantive documents on general knowledge of forensic science, ethics, and then criminal law, civil law, and testimony. I think, and Karen, jump in if you disagree, the subcommittee felt that it was important to have kind of a recommendation cover page, and our thought is that we will post them as one document online, so that way, if you open it, you have to see the recommendation. And so what I did is I drafted the recommendation as it would be verbatim, assuming you're going to approve it. Obviously, if you want to make changes, we can make those, because I wanted you to just kind of see that, how it would read exactly. So acknowledging the importance of providing consistent training on the foundational topics, for scientists who conduct forensic testing in publicly funded labs in Illinois. And then following the discussion, say, the commission came up with the attached recommendations on 3 topics, and then just pointing out that if insert today, hopefully, the commission approved the recommendation and granted we added this part at the end because we thought it was important, granted the training and career development subcommittee the authority to update the documents with corrected or additional references in accordance with further future developments and best practices. So, I mean, obviously, anything huge that would significantly alter the document, I think that the subcommittee would bring it back for updating. But as we all know, there's publication changes, there's updates to documents, there's new case law, there's things like that. And they wanted the ability to just be able to refresh the documents every once in a while. And we will archive. So if the first time that happens, we'll create hopefully some type of archive folder. I'm working with the web people so that we will retain anything that was posted previously. So if anyone could go back and look at the previous document and then the current documents. So that was what we came up with. We hope you like it. And with that, if there's any discussion.
There's an update to one of the references in 2917. Right around the time you guys finalized this document, they actually updated it to the 24 version. So it's -24A.
Yeah.
So it happened right around the time you did that.
Thank you.
And is that for the,
It's a reference listed.
a reference for for the actual documents
Yes.
themselves?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can just make that change, because those documents are, assuming you approve this recommendation and give them the authority to do that, then they could just make that change without, an additional vote.
Motion to approve this recommendation?
So moved. Very well.
Second.
Right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thanks.
That will be posted on the website as well with that change. Thank you, Claire.
We have additional anything, or is that it?
That was only for any discussion item and action items.
Okay. Okay, Amy, are you going to kind of walk us through the DUI cannabis statutes?
I am.
Discussion?
So
Okay.
after, and I think I addressed this in an email, just to give you the update. So after the last meeting, where the commission made the recommendation, about supporting legislation that would clarify the definition of Delta 9 THC without supporting any particular legislation. I did draft a letter outlining your position, sent it to Senator Morrison, who had she was the sponsor of one of the pending bills. I sent it also to the three members of the subcommittee on cannabis, because that's where the bill was at the time. Senator Morris's office was kind enough to follow up with me, and she told me that she wasn't going to be pursuing the bill, which is Senate Bill 3409 this year, but that she was open to revisiting the issue in the fall. So the reason I put this on the agenda is because I just wanted to make sure that I still had your kind of continuing approval and authority. Since there's no longer pending legislation, we had kind of said the reason that we could hook into this was there was something pending. Now there's not. So this would mean I'd be probably, with your permission and approval, engaging a little bit more directly and possibly with reference to specific legislation as far as if she was going to revive it. Obviously, I wouldn't, because your position is not to support any particular language, but that would mean me probably engaging with Senator Morrison's office, other legislatures. I probably would hit on Carrie for her experience to kind of, I mean, we want this legislative change. So I think as a commission, you said you did. I just wanted to make sure you guys were okay with me moving forward on that a little bit more actively would be the better. Is that a good word? Okay, great.
Perfect.
And I will be attending, and anyone is free to attend, there's a NHTSA, so it's National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Very good.
There is a toxicology summit in Springfield on September 24th. And I think it's being hosted at IDOT. And so I do plan to attend that. That'll already be into the fall, but, and other groups I thought that I identified as reaching out to kind of share the commission's position would be state's attorneys organizations, law enforcement organizations such as the chiefs, just to let them know that, you know, the commission feels that there needs to be this change. Obviously no position on the other issues in that particular statute, but, and again, I may reach out to Jody if she has any ideas as far as the state's attorneys, and perhaps the director for law enforcement, because I do think it's important that we start to push out there that science has a voice, because you are the voice of science. So we just need to let people know that there is a voice of science in Illinois right now. So I don't know if I need a motion for it, but, or if it could just be a consensus, since you already approved me doing this. Does anyone have any issues or discussion on me continuing to push this issue?
No, we encourage you.
Okay, then I will go forth and do my best.
Is there a motion to encourage?
Okay.
All right,
And,
website.
Last one, yay, we're moving forward with the website. So we did get the seal added on there. We got some updated photographs from the last meeting of the current commission composition. And then we'll be moving forward with hopefully adding if you guys could get me your bios at your convenience. And then I can work with you individually so that we can try to kind of make them all about the same length. And then we'll do the pictures. And then hopefully the videos will be added up, and obviously we'll be having more reports and documents available. So we're going to work with, I've talked to the web developers, we're going to work within the existing structure now, and then with an eye toward when we might need to make some larger changes, because I'm finding out that larger changes are a lot more difficult to make from a tech standpoint. So, and I think it's more important that we get our information out there. And then we can always, you know, do a complete redesign later if we need different capabilities, if that's good with you guys. So just wanted to let you know, we're pushing it out there. And again, I'm hoping maybe that national organization will have some suggestions too. I've been stealing a lot of ideas from their various websites. So,
The seal looks really great.
so yeah, oh yeah, you missed the beginning. I'll show you all the different versions afterwards. So that was it. That's what I've got.
All right. Ripping right through it here. Okay. Public comments. We have two guests. Any comment from the public? Let's guess. No. Okay.
We will be moving forward with our toxicology section in the King County for both antemortem and postmortem capabilities also. I would like to speak with some of you on some of those issues, if I could get some emails or contact information from you. I know I would like to speak with you sometime also. We are planning on moving towards the eventual use of oral fluid in distant years, but we are planning that for that now.
Anything else? In terms of next meeting, just before we get to that, I guess I'll throw this in public comment. So when we created the Forensic Science Commission 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when it flowed from the Forensic Sciences Task Force, and the recommendation was create a standing commission. It was a recommendation of the commission that we would hire an executive director. We're coming along, addressing a variety of issues. I think this has been, moving in the right direction. We are by statute, the state police here to provide, sort of administrative support. We're the state, it's gotta go somewhere. The state agency, and given that we have, the largest laboratory system in the state, it makes sense, and we have, plenty of subject matter experts, to add to the work of the commission. When we first established the commission, I think, we contemplated that, again, because the state police are providing the administrative support and getting the commission's feet under it, that it made sense, I think, initially in terms of the officers of the commission, for me to be the chair and rather than be, really essentially kind of the designated co-chair, and I'm not available. But within the bylaws and within the framework that we initially passed, I think, contemplated at some point, there's a selection of, a rotation of the various officers of the commission. And so I think at this point, as the only state police will try to provide our objective and administrative support to the commission, but in part because this commission is not just a law enforcement entity, where the commission is for everybody. I think at some point it would be appropriate to rotate the chair and for the chair to not be from ISP. So I just throw that out, and I think this, I don't know what the cycle or the schedule of terms is, if it's calendar year, but as we, it's the middle of this year, and as we move to the end of this year, the fall and the winter, perhaps, that's something we should also look at. If we need to update the bylaws and the rules, I know the executive director can take a look at that and reflect that, just plant that seed in all of that in your head and thinking about the future leadership of the commission and passing it off. ISP still, providing our absolute support to it, and Amy is housed within the administrative structure of the ISP for purposes of we got to be employed somewhere. Somebody's got to put it in direct deposit for you. Fill in all the paperwork, so give you a computer and that sort of thing. But in terms of the future leadership, I think that's something that it's a natural next step to complete that the chair would not be ISP. It could certainly go back at some point, but I think, again, to underscore the point that this is a independent commission, and that was here to, take in all views and perspectives, and just be focused on the science and improve the science, in service of the cause of justice. I think that's just something I throw out there at the end of it for you to chew on. In terms of next meeting,
Could I make one comment on that?
yes, please.
If you don't mind. So I'm starting to loosely draft, suggestions for maybe how we might want to build out some more robust, just beyond the bylaws, whether it be housed in the bylaws, or a separate kind of policies and procedures, just to kind of, now that we have more subcommittees and, things like that, kind of more, I figured it might be best to kind of get things, loosely in writing. And again, I'm going to reach out to other, I'm hoping that national organization will be a resource. Something like this, which the director brought up, as far as if we want to do an annual, election of the chairperson or rotation or whatever, I would think that would probably fall somewhere in there. So I am working on that. We'll be working on that more actively. So that's something that you have the heads up I may be bringing to you. I would probably not bring it through a subcommittee because I don't know where it would really fall. So that's kind of more of a commission thing. So I may float some things out there, or questions or surveys or whatever individually, obviously not as a commission. And work on kind of a framework for that. And that way too, going forward, as there is turnover in the commission, both with commissioners and executive directors someday, hopefully in the far future. Then there's documents, there's a succession plan, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, and, maybe, I would ask that, if we're gonna update the bylaws, that's something we can present for our approval at the fall meeting with them to take effect at the winter meeting, or we could, that's a natural end of the year time to make a transition in the various roles of the commission. I think, the makeup of the commission is solid, and there may be people added at some point if there's appointments from the governor's office, but I think that seems like a natural timeline.
And so everybody on the commission members are 4-year terms, and it's based on their days of appointment. So it's kind of staggered. It's not like there's suddenly going to be a day when, if the governor doesn't reappoint everyone or appoint someone in your stead, then poof, there will be no commission member. So it is staggered, which is good. I do believe your position though is an automatic.
I think it's ex officio when you're.
Yes, you or your designee, I think, is an automatic. I think everybody else is, and as I believe it's either lab director or assistant lab director for the other, folks participating laboratories.
All right, when will our fall meeting be?
Our fall meeting will be on September 16th at 10 a.m. It will be here, but I do believe it's going to be downstairs in the larger room, which I think is where you had your meetings before I was around. I think this was our last meeting in this space. I will obviously send updated emails with that, and I believe that's a Monday.
It is.
Yes, so Monday, September 16th. The December meeting is going to be via WebEx because of the weather. And then I figured for the next meeting, I will bring forth suggested dates for calendar year 2025. I've had some feedback that Tuesdays might be preferable over Mondays, because that way if people are taking a day off, or also for purposes of state and government vehicles, it's apparently easier to not have to take it home over the weekend, and other logistics such as that. So if those people who have county government vehicles, so unless someone is super opposed to Tuesdays, I may shoot for Tuesdays. And that way people can take their long weekends or.
All right.
That's it.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
So moved. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You can just hang around if you want.
Thank you so much, and thank you for those joining us on the.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, yeah, there's an ASPM work item.